Alright, let's have a look at an if statement in IntelliJ. I'm going to create a variable int called input, and I'm just going to set it to 2 for the time being. And as you can guess, I'm going to use this variable for an if statement. So I'm going to say if and then specify a condition. And in this case, I'm going to say if input is bigger than 0, go ahead and print some result, which could, for example, be 2 divided by the input equals, and then go ahead and perform the calculation. Now, if I'm going to run it, you're going to see a result. See what I did there? And as you can see, when we divide 2 by 2, we get 1. That makes sense. Alright, so now I'm going to set it to 0. And I'm going to see what happens now. Go to run it again. And as you can see, there is no output statement whatsoever. And that is, line 8 with the print statement is only going to be executed when input is bigger than 0. So what if I wanted to check for just not 0? Well, easy. I'll just go ahead and do it like this. Exclamation mark equal sign, meaning not equal to. Again, nothing will happen right now. But let me specify an else statement. And I'm just going to say input cannot be 0. And if I run it right now, you will see that the else condition is being executed. And there we have it. Input cannot be 0. So what if I make it bigger? Well, then the first one is going to be executed again, because now 1 does not equal 0, so it's going to do the division again. Alright, let's do another one. We are going to print a greeting based on the time of the day. And I'm going to do this a bit in an easy way. I'm just going to use an int hour, and I'm going to use the military notation, so from 0 up to 23. And I'm going to set it to 6 at first. And then I'm just going to say if hour is smaller than 12, and then I'm going to print good morning. In this case, I actually want to have an else if as well, because I want to say good afternoon. When do I want to say good afternoon? Well, whenever the hour is between 12 and 18. So I'm going to check for that. When hour is bigger than or equal to 12 and smaller than 18, then I'm going to be printing good afternoon. Well, if it's not smaller than 12, then it's also not between 12 and 18, I'm going to be printing good evening. So that would be the else statement. So let's see what happens when I print this. And as you can see, it says good morning right now. If I'm going to update hour to 13, it's going to say good afternoon. And when I make it 23, which is the actual hour right now, I am going to get good evening. Alright, when we look back at this if statement, we see something striking. Namely, if I'm going to put in some invalid input, like 43, it's still going to print good evening. So I decided that I want to refactor this just a little bit and make it more specific. So in here, I'm also going to add a check. And as you can see, I can have multiple else ifs. So I can now say if hour is bigger than or equal to 18 and smaller than 24, I'm going to say good evening. And in all other cases, I am going to say, I don't know that hour. There we go. So if I run this right now, we'll end up in our else statements. There's still one problem, and that's the negative hour. So if I'm going to run this, you'll see that it says good morning for -43. That can't be my intention. So I'm going to change this yet a little bit more. I'm going to say here if hour is bigger than or equal to 0 and smaller than 12, I'm going to say good morning. Though arguably you wouldn't say good morning just past 12 at midnight, but that's besides the point here. You could make a special clause for good night. As you can see right now, when we do -43, we'll actually also get the I don't know that hour, but good day message printed, which is what we were going for. Alright, we have seen some practical examples of how to use if statements in real life situations. As you can see, they're very helpful for making all sorts of decisions and controlling the flow of the program's execution. Let's talk about another control flow statement, the switch statement. We're going to do this in the next video.